everyone, my name is Kaylee and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay everybody, happy late Halloween. I'm filming this on Halloween. I'm about to get ready to go out for Halloween. And because this is gonna be posted after Halloween, let me know how your guys' Halloween was. That was like a lot of Halloween, but yeah, here we are. But yeah, welcome to another Storytime Smash Sunday, and let's get into today's story times. I'm going to bring you guys up close. There we go. Okay, so for those of you who may be new here, I'm going to do my quick usual little rundown. For most of the video, I'll be looking in this direction because my mirror's over here and I would like to see what I'm doing. I do tell these story times in first person point of view, so if you don't like that, then you can leave.
There's the door. There's the door, bitch!
And these story times are sent in by anonymous people. All right, y'all, let's get into today's story times. I like have to do my hair and stuff, so I think this first story time we might do a voiceover because I kind of want to blow dry my hair, or I'll be back after it's blow dried. I don't know, BRB. Okay, so clearly I lied about just doing my hair on camera in general. Okay, so story time about how my ex cheated on me when he asked for us to be on a break. Typical men, I swear. Anyway, so a little background information. I was 17 years old and in 10th grade, and my ex and I started dating on February 13th of 2024. But the reason that I broke up with him was mainly because of all of the trust issues and communication issues that we had. And we broke up on August 3rd whenever we were on a trip to Knoebels. The reason that I broke up with him was mainly because of trust issues and communication issues, which I'm gonna blame on him because he's a man and the men are always the problem. Just kidding. Kind of. Anyways, so on April 28th, I found out about the first girl, Lily. Now, when I found out about Lily, he had been outside with his mom, and I was inside his house with his sister watching a movie, and I noticed that he left his phone sitting on the couch, which if you're a man, not a good idea. Not a good idea, sir. Now, you would have thought that I would have waited until his sister left the room to check his phone, but no. His sister, Mia, and I, we both looked at each other, we looked at the phone, and we were like, we already knew what was going on. We were gonna go through that fucking phone, and we did, cause don't play. Anyways, so you know, I unlock his phone, and sure enough, what do I find whenever I go through it? Well, first I found out that he was doing some sneaky shit. Okay, am I surprised? No, but I saw that he had a deleted conversation with a girl named Lily. And because boys are low-key just a little dense, he didn't actually delete the conversation. I was still able to recover the conversation and go through all them damn messages. And the conversation starts out with Alex saying, "Hey, it's Alex." And then right off the bat, this girl, she's like, "What are you looking for?" And then per usual, he responds back with the usual response a guy who is cheating just for fun responds with, "I'm not looking for anything right now. I'm mainly focused on church and my music." And I didn't even get past that before I got so fucking pissed off that I got up, I went and I confronted him. I'm like, "Bro, what the fuck is this?" And his face turns bright red, and I didn't even care that his mom could hear me. And to be honest, she was on my side. She came in the house and she was like, she was mad as hell. Like almost as mad as I was. She was like, "This is why your relationships don't last. You always do the same thing to good girls." Like period, as she fucking should. We love a queen that doesn't make excuses for her son acting like a POS, a piece of shit. Anyways, and then he goes on with the same fucking excuse that every liar uses. "I don't care if you believe me or not, but I love you and I want you, blah, 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 blah." Anyway, so I stay with him. Fast forward another month. Things between us seem fine. And then one day we are sitting in the car and I see a girl whose name is Emma pop up on his phone. And I'm like, "Oh, who's Emma?" And he was like, "Oh, that's my aunt from Ohio." Like, at this point, stop lying. Like, you're literally not fucking good at it at all. Just stop. Just stop. So then on May 26th, I go over to his house, and while he's outside helping his stepdad fix his car. I decided to clean his room because duh, boys are messy and their rooms usually are disgusting. And I noticed his phone sitting on the desk charging, and my heart just starts racing because I just felt like something was off. Don't ask me what it is, just something was off. Okay. And yeah, that right there was my cue to go through that motherfucker's phone again. And what happens? I find some bullshit again. Are we even surprised at this point? No, we're not. We are not, ladies and gentlemen. So I check his messages with Emma, and this conversation was very similar to the one that he had had with Lily, but this time he played into this one a little bit longer. So I confront him again, and he tries playing dumb. He's like, babe, what's wrong? And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean what's wrong? You're literally texting bitches, like again. Yo, if people can hear me outside of my apartment, they probably always think that I'm like having some like relationship problems or some crazy ass like shit going on in my life. Anyways, back to the story. So, you know, we end up talking in his car, and I almost broke up with him that day. And I know you guys are probably like, well, bitch, why didn't you? And listen, I was still holding on to what I thought we had, okay? And then on June 16th, him and I finally, well, I actually called it quits finally. Because not only was all that bullshit going on, but he was like starting shit with my mom about just like not keeping his mouth shut about things that were going on between us. Like, bro, like shut the fuck up. Shut up. So fast forward like a little more than a month later, on July 12th, we were at church, and him and I had low-key been talking, okay, but I had to act like we weren't because of my mom. Like, she did not like this motherfucker. She was like, no, done with that. But anyways, so this day, we're in church, and I'm not talking to him because I was pretending that him and I were like done, because that's what my mom thought. And then after service, he actually asked my mom if they could talk outside, and he pretty much just asked her for her forgiveness and a second chance. And they talked about everything, and they were all good. Everything seemed like it was fine. Keyword, everything seemed like it was fine. But then literally like 2 weeks later, on July 30th, we were still kind of having arguments about the same old shit, you know, about like the cheating that happened and everything. And so he texts me and he tells me that he wants to give me a little bit of space to calm my emotions and get my mind right, whatever that means. Like, okay, like, bud, let's be honest here, you're the problem. It was never me, it was you. Always you. Anyways, so motherfucker was like, oh, I want to give you some time to, you know, get your mind right and your emotions together. But then text me a day later, a day later, and he's like, he texts me a long paragraph about how he didn't see our relationship getting better. And I respond with my own paragraph telling him like, bro, you didn't even like what the fuck do you mean? Like, you didn't even give us any time at all. And then he goes, I don't know, I just feel like we need to take a break to mentally and emotionally strengthen ourselves. Like, okay. So obviously I have a feeling that he is texting somebody else, but I couldn't know for sure because his phone was not around. So fast forward, we end up going to Knoebels with some friends from church, and to say that things were awkward would be an understatement. So then whenever, you know, we got there, he was like, he texted me and he's like, so what, you're not gonna talk to me? And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, why do guys always expect us to go talk to them? So then I text him and I'm like, are you not gonna come over to me and talk to me? Well, we never actually ended up speaking to each other. Instead, I was actually having a pretty good time until I saw him get on a ride with some girl, or well, I guess he didn't get on the ride with the girl, okay, but he was in line for the ride and he handed his phone to this random girl. Just like bop activities for real. Cause like, why are you doing that? Make it make sense. So, you know, I'm actually having a good time until I see him get on the one ride and he hands his phone to someone for them to hold it while he's on the ride. And, you know, they put it down and I just have like a little feeling that I should go through his phone again. I don't care if we weren't together, okay? He was trying to talk to me again and I needed to know if he was like serious or not, you know? Like, whatever. And I was scared that I was gonna find something that I didn't want to find, which, can you guys guess? Yep, I found something that I didn't want to find. Like, before I even checked his phone, I literally like prayed. I was like, Lord, please do not let me find something on this phone that I don't want to see. Please have let him change. Of course, he didn't change. They never do. All right, well, maybe some of them do, but this one seemed like a lost cause. So I go through his messages and I see that he's being way too fucking friendly with some random bitch named Rachel. Fuck you, Rachel. It's always the Rachels. Like, I'm pretty sure that last Storytime Smash Sunday, there was like a Rachel too. Anyways, y'all, I probably look like a clown. I'm gonna see how I look. And I know you guys are probably like, well, bitch, the last 85 times that you found out he was talking to a new girl, you didn't do shit. So like, what's different this time? Well, these messages were the ones that really made me say, fuck this shit. I know, I actually got to a breaking point. Are you guys proud of me? I'm proud of myself. So fuck if you're proud of me. I don't give a fuck. Anyways, I find a message that says, when you get in the shower, let me know so I can FaceTime you. Oh, hell to the no. Fuck no. So after this, let me tell you. Actually, before I tell you, the worst part about this all is he's literally going around the park asking everybody on advice for how he can make our relationship better and work again. All while being a slut. Yeah, he's a slut. Like, there's no other way to put it. He's a fucking slut.
You're just like a whore. Such a tramp.
Like, his anthem is literally Slut Me Out by Annalie Choppa. Anyways, so I confront him. He starts blaming me for his actions, saying that I should be okay with all of this, whatever. And then I basically told him, like, bro, it's never happening again. Like, we're done. You're done. I'm done. We are fucking done. And then my sister's boyfriend, who's also his cousin, confronted him in front of our pastor.
Everybody getting their ass whooped today. Everybody.
Like, sir, you fucked up. Like, you fucked the fuck up. You're done. Oh, my funny bone. And they literally almost fought. Anyway, so then his excuse was, she's a girl from work, it's none of your business. And yeah, so guys, listen. Right now, him and I still go to the same church, and I need your fucking advice. Am I wrong for the way that I reacted? Because honestly, I think I should have thrown his phone in the lake, because here's the thing. I know that him and I were on a break, right? But like, why are you going to try to get back together with me when you're sexting other girls? I don't know. And I don't know. Okay, so story time about my super insecure best friend. Ladies, having an insecure best friend is literally like one of the most toxic relationships that you can ever have in your life, especially whenever they take their insecurities out on you. So, a little background information. This all pretty much started from the time that I was in like 8th grade. Well, actually, it wasn't really that long of an experience because I kind of cut the shit off once I realized like, okay, this bitch is being weird as fuck. So, yeah, we're gonna start in 8th grade whenever I was 13. Now, my best friend, who we are going to call Bailey, she has always been like a super girly girl. Like, she's been doing her makeup since like, I think the 4th grade. She had a boyfriend in 5th grade for like 2 years. I would say just like kind of grown before we all kind of got to that point where we're like, oh my God, makeup, boys, this, that, the next, you know? Now, her and I had always been friends, but we became best friends in 6th grade. But even though we were best friends, we weren't like the best friends that were super close. We were the ones that would, you know, FaceTime, talk, but never hang out like outside of school. And we would only hang out during the classes that we had. Because I was friends with a super toxic group of girls at the time who were literally bullies, which thankfully I ended up growing some balls. And in 7th grade, I was like, yeah, fuck you guys are bullies and I don't want to be friends with you guys. Anyways, but she always seemed like she was super confident in herself because of the way that she carried herself. And that was one of the things that I liked about her. But in 7th grade, whenever her and I got way closer, she was kind of obsessed with having me do my hair and do my makeup and stuff like that. But and we started hanging out with, you know, some of the guys that she was friends with. But what I did realize was that she was excited that I was getting into hair and makeup, but she would always make me look worse than her. And I didn't know that she was doing this at the time because I was like, oh, okay, you know, like she wants me to do my makeup. So you don't really know whenever somebody has like a hidden agenda, whenever it seems like they're being nice first, you know, like she's helping me do my hair and do my makeup. I don't know how to do my hair. I don't know how to do my makeup. So I saw this as her being a really good friend. Well then, fast forward to the summer before 8th grade. Her and I really didn't hang out that summer because she was doing her thing with all of her friends and I was going back and forth between my dad and my mom's house. So over that summer though, I didn't obviously have her there to do my hair and makeup, and she would only do my hair and makeup whenever I would go over to her house on the weekends and we would go and hang out with like boys or something like that, or we would just go out in general. So I never did my makeup during the week for school or anything like that, and I didn't really know how. So over the summer, I learned how to do my makeup by myself, and I learned how to do it pretty good. So the first day of 8th grade, I came to school, you know, she's like, oh my gosh, you learned how to do your makeup, blah, 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 it looks so good. But then I realized that, you know, I was getting way more attention from guys than I was before, which obviously, you know, I had grown, you know, like during this time, this is when you're kind of growing into like your teenage adult features a little bit. And there was this new boy who had started at our school, and he was in one of our classes. I had more classes with him, but you know, I had told her, oh my gosh, I think he's really cute, I like him. And now usually whoever like kind of calls dibs or like says that they like a guy first is the one who gets like first dibs on him, you know? So I was like, oh, I like him, I think he's cute. And she's like, oh yeah, like blah, 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 you know? And him and I start talking. And we start Snapchatting and stuff like that. And we start FaceTiming. And, you know, I'm telling her about this, I'm updating her. She's like, oh my gosh, how's it going with him? Da, da, da. And I'm like, oh, it's going super well. Like, you know, him and I have been talking for the past few weeks, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes and she's like, well, because you're my best friend and I don't want you to get hurt, I think that you should know I've heard some really bad things about him. And me, obviously, being very new to guys and anything relationships, I'm kind of worried because the stories that I heard about guys fucking girls over and using them really worried me. I'm like, okay, what is this stuff? Because I'm not about to be one of them fucking girls. Nothing against you girls, but thank you for taking one for the team so that way I learn not to do whatever the fuck, not get myself involved. Okay. So she's like, well, I just heard that he was a really big player in his last school, and I just heard that he used to use girls for nudes and stuff like that in his old school. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah, like the last girl that he was talking to, he talked to her for a little bit of a long time and she caught feelings for him, so he ended up asking her for nudes and she sent them, and then he sent them around the whole school. And I'm like, oh hell no. Instead of asking him if this was true, because even at this age I knew that boys lied fucking religiously, I was like, nope, not gonna give him the chance to lie. It's like, you know, so I really just started like talking to him less, you know? And as I'm talking to him less, he's like, hey, like what's going on? Like why, you know, why haven't you been talking to me? And I'm like, I don't know, like I've just been super busy with school and everything like that, and I think that honestly right now it's just not the best time for me to focus on, you know, anybody else. And he's like, okay, well, I really like you, I mean, like, are you sure? And he was like, because you were all about this like a few days ago. And I'm like, yeah, I know about that. Sorry, bud. But no, I obviously didn't say that, but I was like, yeah, sorry, like my parents are getting on me about school, so, you know, whatever. So I stopped talking to him, which made me sad because like this was the first boy that I had actually liked in school, you know, that wasn't just like where this guy actually liked me back instead of some guy that I literally was just having a crush on who never even would look at me. So fast forward a few weeks later, I'm sitting in math class with Bailey and I see his name pop up on her phone. And I'm like, hey, like, are you guys like friends or something? And she was like, yeah, like, you know, like we've been FaceTiming and stuff. And I'm like,
Oh my God!
you now. And she was like, I was like, but wait, I thought that you said like, cause she was like, oh yeah, like I kind of have feelings for him. And I'm like, hold up, back the fuck up like 80 fucking miles. I thought you said that this kid was like, you know, whatever you said about him, that he was not a good person. And she's like, yeah, well, like he's like not, you know, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, then what happened? She was like, well, like I've been in relationships before and I have experience with these types of guys. So like, I just knew that like he would probably play you, but like I knew that I wouldn't fall for his tricks and stuff. And I'm like,
at what point does this make any sense? At what point?
It doesn't make it.
At what point?
So, okay. And then, you know, I kind of have that on my mind for the rest of the day, which like, you know, understandable. And then I text her later on that night and I'm like, did you say that about him just so that way I would stop talking to him? And she like FaceTimed me and she was like, hey, like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, exactly what I said. Like, what do you mean? Like, what? And she's like, she laughs and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, you're a fucking bitch. So, yeah. And then they didn't end up working out, you know, like, I mean, obviously, we're in fucking 8th grade. Nothing was gonna work out, but at the same time, it's just like, bro, come on. Like, let your friend have one person, please. Like, could I just have one thing to myself? So then after that, I kind of like am a little bit distant from her and I'm not really telling her about like the people that I like anymore because I'm like, okay, this is clearly somebody who's going to do this whenever they like somebody that I like. So then fast forward to freshman year in high school. This is whenever a lot of stuff started happening that I was like, okay, this bitch is like really insecure and she's not somebody that I need to have around in my life. So we get into high school and obviously high school is a completely different ball game, okay? Like there's so many people that you didn't know before and everybody's finding their own little cliques and all the guys are like, oh my god, freshman, you know, like fresh meat,
oh hell no.
And I don't know what the fuck that was, but that's literally what the dudes look like, so I don't know. Anyways, so this was kind of nice because now I had a chance to like meet other guys, I guess, you know. Well, then during lunch on the first day, there was a group of guys who came and sat with her and I, and you know, we started talking with them, and a few of the girls from their group came over and sat with us as well, and we started talking to them. And there was this one guy, Evan, who I thought was super cute and I really liked and I wanted to start speaking to. And she started talking to this one guy, Jack, who was also in the group, and you know, I could tell that she had a crush on him, which was sweet. But then she found out that he had a girlfriend, so she stopped speaking to him. And then, you know, I was telling her about Evan and she was like, oh, that's so sweet, blah blah blah, you know, like so happy for you. And then I had gotten grounded the one week, so my mom took my phone away because I just wasn't keeping up really with school, and I know that was super early on in the year for me to not be keeping up with school, but you know, I was kind of focused on my social life at that time rather than school, so whoopsies. But you know, anyway, so yeah, I got grounded from my phone and I asked her if I could log into my Snapchat on her phone so that way I could Snapchat him. And she was like, no, like I don't remember my Snapchat login, you can just add him on here and then, you know, Snapchat him off my thing. Now, I didn't really think anything about this because like I kind of thought that that one thing with that other kid was like a one-time thing, you know, nothing like psychotic. I was wrong, obviously. So I Snapchat him and I'm like, hey, like, sorry, like I got grounded from my phone. And if you guys are wondering why I didn't just tell him in person, well, this was like over the weekend. I don't know why they decided to take my phone away, but then like, you know, let me go to my friend's house. Doesn't make any sense, to be honest, but that's just the way that my parents were. Ass fucking backwards. For what reason, I have no idea. So then I like leave her house because we have school the next day, and we go to school on Monday. And while we're at school and we're sitting at lunch, usually Evan and I will sit next to each other and we'll talk, but today he sat next to Bailey and he was talking to her all lunch. And I didn't really, I wasn't like, you know, acting jealous or anything, but I was kind of just like weirded out. I'm like, okay, that's a little strange, you know, like, because usually our routine was like I just said. And then after lunch, I was like, so like, what did you and Evan talk about? She was like, oh, nothing, you know, like our families actually know each other. And so we were just like kind of talking about how crazy that was. And I'm like, oh, like, how'd you find that out? And she was like, well, like after you left yesterday, you know, him and I started Snapchatting. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, bro. Cause like, you know, I wouldn't have thought anything about it if the situation before hadn't happened, but just because I have like low-key PTSD from that situation, I'm like, come on. Like, come on. Just kidding. Not really, obviously. Anyway, so, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of grew some balls and I was like, this isn't gonna be another situation like what would happen with, you know. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, where you steal the guy that I like. And she was like, what are you talking about? I never did that. I was like, don't play dumb. I was like, yes, you did. And she was like, well, if I knew that that was the way you truly felt, like I would have, you know, and I'm like, you would have what, bro? Been a decent friend? Like, what the fuck? So then she's like, no, like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you felt like that. Like, I'll block him. And I'm like, okay. So then she stares at me and I'm like, so block him. And she's like, well, like, I'll do it later. My phone's like not really charged right now. I'm like, yeah, it is. Like, I just saw your phone has literally 80%. And then she starts like laughing and like, you know, like being like, no, like, you know, not right now. Like, I'll do it later. And I'm like, bro, come on. Like, I don't want to be one of those girls, but like, these are slut activities. Like, be so fucking for real. Anyways, so I'm like, why won't you just block him? Like, now you're being weird. And she's like, I'm sorry, like, honestly, like, I like him. And now I'm just like, all right, bro, whatever. Like, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, take him, please. Like, you're so fucking weird for this. And so she's like, I feel really bad, but like, you know, I just kind of caught feelings for him after him and I were talking last night. And then I'm like, well, how did you guys even start talking? And she's like, well, like, he was messaging me, blah, 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 asking where you were. And then I told him that it was me, and then him and I started talking, and he says that he kind of feels the same way for me. Like, all right. So then I'm just like, okay. And she's like, I'm really sorry, like, please don't be mad at me. And I'm like, bitch, I am gonna be mad at you. Like, what the fuck? Like, what do you think this is? Like, be so fucking for real. So after this, I go and I sit with a few of my other friends, and then I finally get my phone back, and I have like a few text messages from him because I just stopped asking to borrow people's like phones after this to talk to him, because like after that I was like, no, I'm done. Like, it's not happening. And I saw I had a bunch of messages from him, and he's like, hey, like, you know, I hope that you're okay. Like, why haven't you tried to call me or talk to me? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, like, I was grounded. And to be honest, like, I don't really have any interest in like fighting over guys with her. He's like, what do you mean, like, fighting over guys? Like, what? And I'm like, exactly what I fucking said. I don't have any desire to fight over a dude with her. Like, are we dense? And he's like, I don't even like her. Like, what the fuck? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you don't? And then he was like, no, I don't. Like, I like you. And I'm like, oh, because like, that's not how she made it sound. Like, she said that she liked you, and you know, y'all were talking and you were messaging her like nonstop. And he was like, no, like, that's not at all what happened. Now, remember when I told y'all that Bailey was like really into guys and stuff like that, and kind of the first one to be into guys, I guess? Well, because of this, she kind of thought that like every dude was like in love with her, and if they weren't, they're like, she would really have like a problem with it. Like, that was one thing in our friendship, I guess, is like whenever another girl was talking to a guy that she semi-liked, she would try to get with that guy. Most of the time it wouldn't work, because obviously not every guy is fucking into her, but whenever she wouldn't be able to get with them, it would really like irk her soul for some reason. So then, you know, eventually him and I start talking, and eventually we start dating. And then the one morning he texts me and he's like, bro, and I'm like, what? And I haven't really talked to Bailey in like a few weeks, just because of like what happened. Like, I just didn't want to deal with it, and that honestly just wasn't a friend that I wanted to have around. So I get a text from him and he's like, Bailey just sent me nudes. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, she literally just full on sent me like a naked picture of herself in the mirror. And I'm like, bro, like what is wrong with this girl? Like what actually is like, what's wrong with her? And so I text her, I'm like, and she knew that we were dating because she still sat at the same table that we did. And I was like, why did you send him nude pictures? And she's like, what are you talking about? I didn't. And I was like, yes, you did. And I fucking sent her the screenshots that he literally sent me. And I'm like, why'd you send these to him? And she's like, oh my goodness, like I didn't mean to, blah, blah, blah. Like that was such an accident. Please tell him to delete them, blah, blah, blah. Tell him that I'll pay him. And I'm like, listen, like honey, there is no way that you just sent him nudes and you didn't see who you sent them to. My thing is, you would have had to search him up because you and him haven't talked since fucking, you know, you were being a fucking little snake. So be so fucking for real. Like I could see like an accidental, you know, like sending of the nudes if it was somebody who was on your like, you know, recent list and you like double tap their name, whatever, you know, fucking send it. But that's not what happened. So I'm like, don't worry, like he already deleted them. And she was like, he did? And I was like, yeah, he fucking deleted them. He doesn't want them. He doesn't want them, babe. And she was like, well, how do you know for sure? And I'm like, because my boyfriend doesn't want your fucking nudes. Like, what do you mean? How do I know? Like, what? So she starts going on about how she doesn't believe that he deleted her nudes. So she messages him and he's like, bro, I deleted them, like leave me the fuck alone. And then she goes around school and she starts telling everybody that he's like saving my nudes and that like, you know, I shouldn't be in a relationship with him if he's, you know, yeah. So then I kind of, you know, I talked to her and I'm like, bro, like what the fuck is going on with you? Like, are you good? Like, are we good? And she's like, yeah, like we're fine, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, so why are you going around spreading these rumors? And she's like, I'm not. She was like, you know how people just love drama. She's like, the only thing that I said to somebody was like, oh, like I'm really happy that, you know, he has you as a girlfriend and, you know, like he's a good guy, so he deleted them because could you imagine if I sent them to somebody who wasn't a good person and they just sent them around? And, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, you know, I guess that like, you know, somebody could have like spun a little rumor. Knowing her though, I shouldn't have believed that, but you know, I wanted to see the best in her. So I'm like, yeah, you know, okay, whatever. So then she's like, I really miss us being best friends. Can we please start hanging out again? This, that, and the next. And you know, I was like, okay, maybe she learned her lesson. Like just maybe. So I decide that I'm gonna give her another chance, which I know is my fault. You know, like I shouldn't even really be complaining about any of this shit that happened because I was the one who gave this bitch another chance and I'm kind of the dumb bitch for believing that her ass could change. So, but y'all, she started doing like some actual real like fucked up shit. Like we started having sleepovers again and she started like taking pictures of me while I was getting dressed and stuff like that. And I didn't know this at the time, of course, but this is what she was doing. Not only that, but like she started like stealing my makeup and stuff. And here's how I found out about this stuff, right? So with the whole fucking taking naked pictures of me thing, I slept over at her house the one night and, you know, she knows the password to my phone because I hadn't changed it in so long. And I completely forgot that she knew it. And also, I didn't think that she was this much of a fucking weirdo. But she went on my phone while I was sleeping and sent these naked pictures of me to people on my Snapchat off my phone. Yeah, guys, literally this bitch was a full-on psycho. And then not only that, but she sent one to Evan and she then Snapchatted him after that saying wrong person. So yeah, that was that relationship. That fucking ended very quickly after that. And then she stole my makeup bag out of my locker, out of my gym locker, and I literally, for the next 2 weeks, couldn't do my makeup for school at all. Because my parents just weren't gonna go out and buy me a whole fucking new bag of makeup just because somebody fucking stole mine. And then she ended up getting like expelled for taking videos of me and stuff like that because she had sent them to quite a few people on Snapchat. And then after Evan broke up with me, she started talking to Evan again. Except, I don't know if she was actually expelled. I think she just got suspended because she actually came back to school for the next year. And I had to walk around her trying to not punch her in the face for the next few years. So yeah, fuck you, Bailey.